So Shreya is going to be talking about the dev perspective on application security. And I believe, Shreya, are you there? Hey there.
Hey Jessica, how are
How
you?
are you?
Good.
Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Very cool. So I have a note here from the producer that you will be presenting in Hindi. Is that correct?
So it would be both Hindi and
Perfect.
English.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you for joining. I will hand it over to you.
So for today's session, it's application security from a developer's perspective. So let's get started into this. First of all, who am I? I am currently working as an iOS developer with TCS. I'm also working as a challenge contributor for Venja, where I do contribute challenges around various categories like web administration, system administration, cloud, OSINT, and cryptography and whatnot. Like whatever things I just want to learn, I do create a challenge for that. I'm also contributing for Code Vigilant project. That is a project that does pen test over WordPress plugins and also the source code reviews for that. I'm also currently leading the Infosec Girls Bhopal chapter. I have been previously leading Null Bhopal chapter as well. And yes, I've been volunteering for Vinja. I do speak at a lot of community meetups, and this would be my first conference talk actually, and I'm very excited for it. And yes, I do blog about technical and infosec stuff on shreyapohekar.com/blogs. So that was about me. So yes, as I said, this talk is gonna be like a mix of Hindi as well as English. So if you are an Indian or you are aware of Hindi, then yeah, kudos to you. Otherwise, yeah, it's in English as well. So, okay. So, key points to cover for this particular session. Uh, like these are the points which would be further covered in the slides as well. I've just given here an overview of how it's gonna go. So I'll not speak that up actually. So, okay, the very first slide. So, why I have chosen this topic in the first place? As I said in my introduction, I have been a developer, but I also knew security since like 4 to 5 years. I was working into it. So when you are a developer and you know the security as well, you try to see things in different ways, because a normal developer would never study about the security of that particular thing. But when you know the security, it's like whenever or whatever feature you are developing, those edge cases would be always popping in your mind that, okay, if this particular functionality can go wrong in any way or not, and I am gonna like take care of that while I'm developing every each and every line of code. So that's the whole motive why I have taken this talk. So the intended audience here is both the developers and the security researchers, because I'm going to tell the both perspective of how things work and how things can work for both the domains. So yeah, that's for this slide. So the first thing, have you ever wondered why security issues happen? So there's very simple thing in here, and that is like you are coding out something, maybe a login functionality, but it's just maybe one wrong logic that can expose you totally. So that's something, just one missing line of code. And why that happens, because the developers were not aware. They would just ask that, okay, there is a login functionality, you just need to build it up. It asks for a username and a password, you fill it out, you get to the dashboard page, and the work is done. So a normal developer would think that way. as a developer, I am specifically mentioning maybe the freshers, I would say, because yeah, because of the lack of experience, there might be cases when they are like not thinking of all the edge cases, and we do have freshers in every organizations who are doing the coding things. So that happens with a lot of inexperienced coders where they are just asked to do something and just they build that thing without thinking of the edge cases of how it can go wrong. So that simple logic or the simple use case that got missed, uh, like for that particular coder, is gonna generate a lot of vulnerable scenarios for your website or any application, be it web or mobile. So yeah, so it's like that simple thing. And apart from code, like there is also system configuration thing. So now it's like you are doing things over cloud, you are maybe configuring S3 buckets. So there is this by default functionality, right, that you have to disable all the public access and stuff. But अगर फिर ऐसा होता है कि there might be some scenarios that where you are just required to enable all the public access, but like unintentionally or unknowingly you are opening up a lot of attack surfaces. So that's again like something people are just not completely aware of, and because of that they end up exposing a lot of things, and just simply that thing leads to all these security issues that we see today. So, here, this in this particular slide, I'm gonna talk of the role of developer, the thought process, and like how they actually work. Because I have been now a developer, so I do know that kind of mentality now. So what happens is like मुझे एक feature दिया गया है कि you have to like build this thing up. So what would my typical flow would be कि okay ऐसा ऐसा जाना है, and then एक जैसे for example I took the login example, जैसे another example we can take of is the email reset functionality. So वही कि I'm gonna type in the email address, then there will come mail to my inbox, and then everything I'll get the code and stuff. So now I'll just think that, but there are numerous ways this can go wrong. Like first of all, rate limiting implemented nahi hai. So उसमें क्या होता है कि you are just basically brute forcing the whole code thing, and you are just that whole logic of email the password reset is just determined because you are able to brute force that out. So that is one thing. Then there is one more thing, like we can send the reset link to attacker's control domain. So how that happens is like your code is somewhere using that server and the host name instead of like doing the hard coding. So if I am able to pass some malicious host name, then I'll be getting the password reset link onto my like the server that I control. So there are multiple things that can go wrong, but a normal, a typical developer is much more focused on like just delivering the functionality. And there may be a lot of reason why that happens. First of all, as I said, that lack of experience, like as you build a lot of code and stuff, you will come across all these issues that happens around web or maybe mobile. But as in when you go, you learn a lot. Like someone is going to tell you that okay, you missed out on that thing. So whenever you try that later, it will be already in your mind that okay, I did this wrong previously, but now I know how to do that. So it just comes with experience, and sometimes it's just like the deadline thing. So what I can tell from my experience, there are sometimes deadlines that just force you to not to go ahead. Sometimes it happens, it does happens. So here is a plus point for security researchers actually, because developers do leave a lot of holes, and that's actually a reality. uh, so I'm gonna cover that later in my some personal stories that I've encountered, but yeah, that's something I would really be talking about. So okay, next slide. Okay, so for this particular slide, I wanted to just give a glimpse on how it would be if a developer would be doing code reviews. So this is actually a very good point for a developer as well. Like nowadays, we do talk about secure coding and stuff. So how this secure coding thing is implemented. So for that, so first example would be like reading through all the documentation is really very important, because like we do see in a lot of documentations there are warning given everywhere, uh, like if I am using a dangerous function, for example in PHP, which is eval, or any kind of the function that would be executing the system code. So there would always be a warning that okay, इसे use नहीं करना है, otherwise you might end up with some kind of security vulnerability if you're not if you're not handling it correctly. So these kind of reviews, means this kind of knowledge you can only get if you are doing a lot of source code reviews and also reading the documentations. So reading others code will give you a lot of like different approaches as well on how you can write a very secure code. So I got to learn this from Code Vigilant as well. Like हम वहाँ पे बहुत सारे जो वर्डप्रेस प्लगइन्स है उसको बहुत ज्यादा, मतलब वी यूज्ड टू रीड द कोड. सो जब वो कोड रीड करते हैं, यू एक्चुअली गेट टू नो हाउ डिफरेंट डेवलपर्स आर thinking about a particular functionality, and once you get to know that, you will be a better coder actually, because once you read someone's code, it's like okay, I got to read this particular code where the developer had done everything to secure that particular feature. So we become a better developer by just reading someone else's code. I would not say it's just like copying someone's code, but yeah, it would really improve your thought process while you are building something. And yeah, you would end up doing secure coding. So for all the developers out there, I would really suggest that whatever your teammates are building, whatever you are building, the code should be like thoroughly reviewed for all the edge cases, and you will definitely become a secure coder. And I'm gonna, at the end of this slide, I'm gonna share some of the basic things that you can do in order to learn more about those different edge cases that you might not be instead aware of. So yeah, for that we'll wait for the last slide actually. All right. Okay. So here is my personal favorite slide. So I'm gonna take that in Hindi. I just try, but every time I just try, it's just coming out in English. I just don't know. So okay. So this is from my personal experience. So what happened was, like, first of all, हमें बोला गया था कि okay, you need to create 400 activities and for an application. So that was actually a tiresome work. So what happened was, my teammates asked me कि ये तो बहुत ही ज्यादा, मतलब बहुत ही ज्यादा lazy kind of काम है, मतलब बार बार वही चीजें करना है. So I was like, okay, let's try one thing. I just captured that request through Burp, and I just started through that the intruder, and it started to work. So I was just doing a random thing, like okay, we'll do by that, so at least we don't have to. Also, first I sent it over repeater, and I just tried it 2-3 times कि जल्दी जल्दी हो जाए, तो हम like 400 activities बनानी है, so it's gonna take time. So I just put it into repeater, and I realized that it's working all the time. So I realized that okay, यहाँ पे rate limiting अभी implemented नहीं है. So the last step was to send everything to the intruder and just run it. And the task जो हमें मिला था कि 400 activities create करनी है, so it happened in a matter of 2 minutes. So yeah, means these are the things that lack. And why were those things lacking? Well, because uh, maybe it was not the requirement for them, but you did realize that something does exist which can be like leveraged. So it's just like people's perspective on, do you consider security so much or not? So yeah, it depends on organization to organization. But yeah, that was something I realized that was there while being a developer. Then one more thing, like so one of the project that uses GraphQL, which is in terms of AppSync. So what was happening is like कि GraphQL तो implement कर दिया है, but you have not disabled the introspection. So now you have the access to all the schema things, and you can like pretty much query about everything. So ये सारी चीजें मतलब ऐसा रहता है कि that may be because of lack of experience, or you just didn't knew about that something like that also exists. But yeah, it did happen. So yeah, that were two scenarios. Other I would like to cover will be a very very basic one कि वो सबके ही साथ होता है, मतलब at a point in time कि जैसे बहुत सारे startups में it happens कि your map API key, the Google Maps API key is leaking, and you can simply use it. So that's the basic issue, I would say, कि वो सारी companies के साथ कभी ना कभी हुआ है. So it's like कि वो मतलब क्यों हो रहा है, क्योंकि startups में कभी कभी you are just so focused on delivering a functionality कि आप ये सारी चीजों को इग्नोर कर देते हैं कि ठीक है सिक्योरिटी इशू था और वो सब था, ठीक है. तो वो सारी चीजें इग्नोर हो जाती हैं sometimes because of the deadlines, as I said, or other reasons maybe. So फिर अब जैसे आपको पता भी है कि वो फिक्स कैसे होगा, but still you are just not fixing it for some reasons maybe. So these kind of small things. And one of the other examples I would take would be कि जैसे we have everywhere the authorization checks, right? कि कोई भी यूजर किसी भी यूजर का डेटा डिलीट ना कर पाए, एंड कोई भी यूजर किसी यूजर का डेटा देख ना पाए, and all that kind of checks, those requires all the authorization things. But now what happens is कि कंपनी में एक एम्प्लॉय तो है नहीं, बहुत सारे एम्प्लॉयज हैं जो अपना अपना मॉड्यूल कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं. सो एट दैट टाइम व्हाट हैपेंस कि मतलब जैसे एम्प्लॉय 1 ने तो पूरे चेक्स लगाए बिल्कुल अच्छे से, बट द एम्प्लॉय 2 डजंट इम्प्लीमेंटेड दैट चेक्स. तो अब क्या हो रहा है कि मतलब सेम काइंड ऑफ कंसेप्ट था, बट स्टिल बिकॉज ऑफ 2 डिफरेंट पीपल वर्किंग ऑन लाइक मॉड्यूल थिंग्स, तो क्या होता है कि अगेन यू आर ओपनिंग अप अ लॉट ऑफ सिक्योरिटी इश्यूज की okay, so I was able to delete someone else's data, and that happened just because कि वहां पे authorization check नहीं लगा था. But then you see कि पूरी एप्लीकेशन में वो चेक्स था, बट वो फंक्शनैलिटी के अंदर नहीं था क्योंकि वो ज्यादा यूज नहीं होती और वो सब. पर अगर किसी दिन किसी ने वो चीज फाइंड आउट कर ली है तो फिर दे आर गोना टेल कि ओके दैट चेक इज नॉट इम्प्लीमेंटेड हियर. So that kind of things happen every time. You cannot expect everyone to know everything. So these kind of things literally happen on a daily basis in a like code that is in continuous development. So that's why we do have this importance of security teams who are like continuously testing out for things that can go wrong, all the test cases they do right, all the checklists they make ki अगर फाइल अपलोड दिया है तो देर आर endless number of opportunities or possibilities where your code can break and can lead to a security issue. So there are just these checklists, and yeah, I do understand that um, no one can really know like the whole of security as well and the whole of development as well. That is very unlikely, because I do get that when I am into a developer profile, I do really have to make time for uh, like staying updated or learning about security. So that's really a big deal. So I'm not saying that all the developers should really know everything about security. That's going to be coming to you with experience, that's for sure. But yeah, that's something you should always uh, like take care of, because like for example, there is a e-commerce website you are working on, so you can know all the test cases that can go wrong with the e-commerce website. You do not need to know everything in security, just you need to be specific for your web application or mobile app that you're working on. So the work will be done and you will be getting to know something extra, and yes, your code and your application will be secure enough. So that was from this particular slide. Moving forward, like I said, developers can become the best security engineers. And why is that? Because everything starts from fundamentals. And like we know, that security is not a product, it's a process. And it's a process that happens in every phase for any organization. So when you are a developer, and not just developer, I would say nowadays we do have not nowadays, we do have systems and system administration. Now we have cloud as well. So if you are a cloud engineer, you could be the best cloud security consultant as well. If you are a developer, you can be someone who can do really good code reviews, who can really efficiently understand what the application is doing and how to compromise that. So if you are someone who is a developer and who want to switch into cybersecurity, it would be one of the best things you can do, because like first of all, you need to have that knack for cybersecurity things. And if you do have and you are a developer, you are going to go a long way, because a developer, being a developer will never be a like you'll never get a that stagnant point in your career, because you can do automation and you can build up a lot of tools. So you are actually leveraging your developer skills as well, and you are doing something great with security as well. So that's what I think. And like I got to be a developer in my current job, and I do learn about Angular and iOS. So now I do understand the basics of how web works, how the iOS works. So it becomes now very easy for me to move into web pen test or iOS pen test, because at the end it's just all the fundamentals. So just even if you don't want to do a job, I would really suggest everyone to like to get the hold of all these fundamental things, and it will really take you very long way, that's for sure. So that was for this slide. Okay. Yeah. So I would highly recommend OWASP testing guide. So recently I read the OWASP, the web application testing guide, and that book really made me realize that okay, I do know both the security and development, but for people who are just developers, this book can be like a great asset. And why is that? Because this book contains a lot of crux and all the scenarios that can help you build a very like secure environment, I would say, in a web application. So similar thing goes for the mobile pen test guide as well. So this book is like for both the developers and the security engineers actually. So for the security engineers, it could be like a testing guide. Like if you are testing out some functionality, that book can be a checklist for you, and you can just simply tick mark whatever you have done and whatnot. And so it's really good in clearing the concepts as well. And for developers, you can use that as a mitigation point. So highly recommend that particular uh, testing guides, be it web application or the mobile application. So I was recently also reading about the cheat sheets that are given by the OWASP. And these are really some of the very, very nicest cheat sheets, actually, like covering all the things. They start from the concepts, they go through the mitigation, they are going to tell you everything that you can, every payload maybe that you can test for. So yeah, the cheat sheets are also really good. And again, it goes for both the developers and security engineers to like understand. Like, for developers it would be more like when you know what your features of the application are, you can directly go to that particular section and understand like what are the edge cases for this particular function or feature that can go wrong. And for security engineers, yeah, it should be like whenever you're testing, every edge case you need to test for. That's the thing. And yeah, the concepts, it does cover, I would not say in a very detailed way, but if you just want to know the crux, or you want to just get your basics revised again, like for me it was like a revision of my basics. So it would be a great book, and you should really read it. So yeah, that was the last slide actually. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me over Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm always available on that and would be happy to answer any of the questions that you have, be it regarding this particular talk or any other just general question around InfoSec. And yes, you can also reach out to me over mail, and yeah, I'll be happy to answer you. And thank you. That's all from my side.
Excellent. Thank you so much.